Welcome to the Darkstream. VoxDay, voxday.blogspot.com, and Infogalactic News. Got some good news from Castelia House that I wanted to announce first. The first thing is that Rocky Mountain Retribution, which is book 2 in the Ames archives, is now available in audiobook. The narrator's really good. Bob Allen did it. He also did the first book in the series, Brings the Lightning. And it's, I think, 8 hours and 40 minutes long. So it's a pretty good length for an audiobook. And so it's by Peter Grant. And if you like Westerns, if you like Louis L'Amour, you're going to love it. Secondly, some of you have probably seen on Twitter, but we just signed Tara McCarthy to her first book contract, and I'm really looking forward to working with her. We've gone over the outline of her book, and I think that it's going to be very, very popular with the alt-right, and I think it's going to be potentially a significant book. You know, there's a lot of, it's going to be about nationalism, and something that we talked about, and part of this is actually came out of that little misunderstanding last week when Tara and some of the others were kind of feeling like I was one of the guys in the alt-right who was questioning the right role for women in the nationalist movements. And, you know, like I said at the time, I fully support it. And sometimes you need to put your time and effort where your mouth is. And so, I'm really happy about this. I've already read a little bit of Tara's work, and it's good stuff. And so, you know, I think it's going to be a good, serious, canonical book in the vein of Cuckservative. And so, you know, this is really important because, you know, it's very difficult for conservatives to attack women. And one of our problems, or one of our challenges in the alt-right right now, is getting the conservatives to stop lying about us. You know, the article that I linked to earlier by Joe Carter was particularly ridiculous because Joe Carter knows me. You know, when he was running Evangelical Outpost, he used to link to me all the time and engage in discussions on my blog. So he knows, you know, he knows what the alt-right actually is. He knows the difference between me, Richard Spencer, Milo, Mike Cernovich, all that sort of thing. And yet, you know, I mean, it wasn't, I should say, that particular one was not the worst article I'd read. At least he understands the difference between white supremacy, white identity, and white nationalism. But, you know, to lump all of us in the alt-right, you know, whether we're like me, an American Indian, whether, you know, you're Chinese, whether you're one of the 27 language speakers, you know, I mean, it's just ridiculous for Americans to try to even discuss the alt-right as if it's only relevant to U.S. politics, when you can see right on my blog, and you can see it references everywhere else to the 27 languages that different people who are more or less alt-right have taken the time to go and translate just because they want people in their own nations to be familiar with it. You know, I didn't have anything to do with any of them except for the English one and the Italian one. All the others, I didn't even touch. And so, you know, I mean, you have to understand, I mean, Spencer wants to be a media figure. I'm not going to criticize him. He does what he does. But realistically, look at Alexa. Look at the traffic. There's more people reading my blog alone than read Spencer's stuff. Castelia House is much bigger than the publishing house that he's got. And so and again, I'm not denigrating Spencer. I'm not making fun of him in the slightest. I think that he has some reasonable goals. But the problem is that he is not the alt-right. He's part of it. But there's a lot more than that. And, I'm not interested in that. I think the alt-right is and will be and must be broad spectrum because it encompasses all kinds of it encompasses all different nations. There's 27 different nations, languages, represented with the 16 points of the alt-right. And you think that you, an American, or you, a Pole, or you, a German, are going to, be a leader of the whole thing? It's ridiculous. It's absolutely absurd. Who was the leader of socialism? Who is the leader of capitalism? There's no leader. There is no leader possible because it is not a movement. It is a political philosophy. It is a philosophical perspective. And it is an inevitable trend of human social mood. The power of the alt-right is from the fact that it is the only political philosophy that is in line with the large global socioeconomic trends. And it is also the only political philosophy that doesn't run shrieking away from reality and stick its head in the sand. So I'm happy to have Richard Spencer doing what he's doing. That's great. Always three, jeez. Yeah, but that's a good point. It is like gravity. It doesn't matter whether you like the alt-right or not. The alt-right is speaking the truth. So, anyhow, we do not want to go, we will not go the way of the Tea Party. More and more people are coming to join us. The whole reason that the Southern Baptists decried, the cucks in the Southern Baptist Convention decried the alt-right. Why? Because we threaten their monetary base. We threaten them because conservatives are coming over to us. We threaten them because we see through their lies, we expose their lies, and obviously that makes them uncomfortable. So starving the beast. Somebody said, what do you mean by starving the beast? It's real simple. Okay, go to Infogalactic News. Do you see all the little A's? There's little blue A's after almost every headline. One of the things that people don't realize is that it is legal to archive any site. It's part of the way the internet is designed. The fact that news stories are constantly changing and that sort of thing, there is a real need and ability to be able to archive everything. So what we've done at Infogalactic News is we have given you a way to read the main headlines and news stories of the day without giving traffic to those news sites. We have to supply both. We have to supply the direct link to the story. That's fair. But you, as the user of Infogalactic News, do not need to use that link. It is perfectly fine for you to use the archive link instead. Now imagine, this is just a vision, but imagine if Infogalactic News had half the traffic that the Drudge Report did. The Drudge Report is the largest driver of traffic to the mainstream media. Other than Google, in terms of just who provides the most important links on the internet, it's Matt Drudge. So Matt Drudge is driving money, driving clicks to the mainstream media that hates him. Now, that's kind of what Drudge's business model is built on. He has a symbiotic relationship with them. It's adversarial, but it's also symbiotic. C'est la vie. That's what he's doing, and it's fine. But AP always has a really good. We do the same thing. AP has a really nice setup of breaking news headlines that cover a lot of stuff. So anyhow, if you go to Infogalactic News, you will see now that you have the option to use the archive links for practically every major news story. Now, obviously, when we're linking to a friendly news media site and that sort of thing, we wouldn't necessarily encourage that you use the archive link, but we have the archive link there anyhow. And so, if you want to, the media is thrashing around in its death throes. They are desperate. If you look at the numbers, they go down every single year, and significantly. Newspaper subscriptions went down 10% last year overall, and they've been in a downward trend for over a decade now. There are something like 1/3 the number of people working in the media than worked in the media, I think 10 years ago. Maybe it was a little bit longer than that, but it's the employment numbers are definitely down. That's why they are so vicious. That's why they are so nasty. That's why Jeff Bezos and Slim, whatever his name is, had to come in and buy up the Washington Post and the New York Times just to prop them up. The Guardian had a $1 billion endowment, and they have already blown through 3/4 of it in the last decade. So, no, Infogalactic does not really have a marketing strategy right now. We're not really pushing it right now because we are working on getting our perspective filters right. We don't see any point in really pushing it right now to neutral parties and that sort of thing until there's a big and obvious difference between Infogalactic and Wikipedia. This is just right now we're in phase 1. We're working on phase 2. This is a giant project. We're talking about 7 million pages already. Okay, once we get to the perspective filters and that sort of thing, you're going to see that triple, quadruple. And so, that's why it's so important for those of you in the burn unit. That's why it's so important to support Infogalactic now with your $10 a month or whatever your various subscription donations are. The reason that's so important now is because that is what is allowing us to move the thing forward. We've got really hardcore volunteers, but we need to keep the servers and the development platforms paid for. And you guys have been doing a great job of that. I really appreciate it. We're not desperate. Everything's going great. Everything is going very well. And but it is a little bit difficult sometimes for people to understand. They look at Infogalactic and they're like, well, this is basically just like Wikipedia. Well, yeah, sure. Of course, if you go and edit Infogalactic, nobody's going to leap in and revert your edit immediately just because it offends them that you edit it. So there are already some minor differences, but people are not really going to see and understand the differences until we get phase 2 in place. And so we're working on that. We finally kind of got everything at a point where our main tech stars can focus on the new developments. We've got ForkBot in place. If you go there, you can see that we are keeping up with Wikipedia. If you go to Infogalactic, you can see there's already a link for the Grenfell Tower fires. So we are keeping up with Wikipedia actively already. That's not bad if you consider that we've been around since October. So, we do need more editors. We do need more people using it. We do need more. We do need to continue to grow the burn unit. Those things are all important. Pass the word, spread the word. But the main thing is to remember it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. We're just taking one step at a time. We understand how massive a project it is. We understand how big a project it is. And so, we're just patiently chipping away at it, every day. And occasionally we throw things out there like Infogalactic News. We kind of looked at doing some Reddit type stuff, but honestly, we finally just decided, that's a bit too much of a distraction. We're going to stay focused on the vision, and as we expand, as we grow, and as we get more and more users and stuff, then we'll look at adding more features. We have a lot of ideas in that score, but all that stuff has to wait until we get the base. So, why doesn't Wikipedia have an Infogalactic page? Because they don't want to. So, that's good news. It's a comment that somebody, people are asking about just from seeing the Burn Unit shirt. It's a pretty cool shirt. I like it. But a lot of the crypto fashion shirts are pretty cool. I get comments on this one when I wear it around too. What is that? Actually, someone just asked, what is Castelia House? Castelia House is a publisher. It's a Finnish publisher. We publish, I don't know, in all the editions, we publish around 200 books or so. And so there are way fewer editors than you would ever imagine, considering that number of books. It's basically me and 2 volunteers that do the editing. And then we have a number of volunteer proofreaders who are a big help. So, comments on the upcoming, well, I already announced, actually, the upcoming Tara McCarthy book. We just signed her to the book contract literally today. So, it's gonna be out next spring. It will be good, and we're definitely looking forward to publishing it. So, I'll let her, she's the author, I'll let her do more of the discussion about it. But, we really like Tara. She's a good writer, she's smart, and she's going to fit in very well with the other very smart, talented writers at Castelia House. So we're gonna. I don't know what top 5 in SF means. Maybe you can explain that to me. But as far as the library goes, one of these days we'll have to do a tour. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to do that. Like, I don't know how Cernovich does those periscopes when he's like walking around and stuff. That's not really my style. Hey, here's an extreme close-up. But at some point in time, I'll figure something out, I'm sure. So, anyhow, that's all I had tonight. Really, just if you haven't started using Infogalactic News, I highly recommend that you supplement your daily news with it. We've got a great selection of columnists and stuff at the bottom. I actually use that. And so, you use the archives, and actually there's a quick link to, if you see the Infogalactic logo, if you click on that, that is a link to an Infogalactic page about the subject. So, SJW's Always Double Down should be out mid-July. I'm working hard on that now. And we've got some other good, really good books coming out soon. John C. Wright's fifth Moth and Cobweb book is coming out soon. And Martin Van Creveld's first novel is coming out, which is going to be interesting. And Owen Stanley, he's still working on his next novel. He could be a while. I think the first one took 30 years. I think the second one will be bigger, but will be sooner. But am I hopeful for Europe's future? Yes, I am. Awaken the Nightland for audio, still working on it. Always happy to talk with Jordan Peterson. I have a lot of respect for him. And yes, The Missionaries is an amazing book. If you haven't read The Missionaries by Owen Stanley, make it your next book. I'll just tell you that right now. Why am I hopeful for Europe's future? Because I see what the young people are like. I see the nationalist parties on the rise. I'm going to probably talk about it maybe tomorrow night, if I have time. Actually, probably not tomorrow night, but probably Saturday night. We will talk about why you never trust cucks and moderates. There's the Finnish Nationalist Party learned the hard way why you can't do that. So anyhow, that's all we've got time for tonight. So thanks for stopping by. Check out Infogalactic News, and we'll talk to you soon.